As we were talking in today's session, we will be discussing mastering the admin console. As we discuss this, if you have any doubts or feedbacks or inputs you wish to share with us about the features that you've used in admin console or the features we are right now discussing in this particular webinar, you can post it in the Q&A section. And if you have, if you have any other inputs as well, apart from the admin console, but relevant to the Zoho Mails UI, you can again post them in the Q&A section itself. All right. In today's session, Sai Prasad has joined here with me, and he will be answering all of your questions. He is the technical support engineer of Zoho Mail. And myself, I'm Priyanka. I am the presenter for today's session, and I am a product expert of Zoho Mail. The agenda for today's session is introduction in admin console, how you can use different settings to manage your domain, organization, users, groups, and then we will be seeing how you can migrate your data from a different server to Zoho Mail. And then we will be covering what are all the spam control policies that you can set for your organization. And last of all, we will end the session with how you can set email compliance policy for your organization. The first topic is introduction to Zoho Mail. Let me show you. This is the UI of Zoho Mail, right? So you would have gone through all of these. You can see the list of all the mails that you receive here, and on the left side you will find all the folders listed and also the views and saved searches listed. And then on the right side you will find the settings, and you will have different options available for you. And on the left side you will find the suite of apps from which you can make use of them. You have mail, calendar, where you can set your events, create events, and task, where you can create tasks and invite participants as well. So you can keep an update of the progression of a particular task that you do. And then you have notes, where you can collaborate and work. You have contacts, where you can save all the important recipient name in a particular platform. You have bookmarks for URLs. And last of all, you have resource booking, which is nothing but you can book all of your meeting halls, conference halls, and book the slots, so that whenever you want to do a meeting, you can directly run to the room instead of searching for a room for yourself. And that's about all the suite of apps here. So before we move into the actual topic for today, I thought I can discuss some of the key features that Zoho Mail has for itself, and then we can move on to the actual topic. So what are the key features we are going to discuss today is streams, mail sharing, draft sharing, and how you can collaborate and work using tasks, notes, and events right from your inbox. So let me show you. Here on the left side, you will find streams. So how do you use streams this is how your streams platform will look like. So let's say you want to make an announcement to your organization, saying it could be anything, it could be a function that you want to announce to your organization. And what we would normally do is we will formulate the message, and then we will send it to everyone in our organization, forward the mail to everyone. But instead of doing that, you can formulate the message and you can post it here, just like how we do it in a social media platform. So once you do that, anybody at all who have access to the post can like the post and comment on the post. So if you ask me only if messages can be posted here, the answer is no. You can post notes, events, tasks, even bookmarks here. And also you can post the particular post to a certain members in your organization, and only those members will be able to access the post. So what is the essentiality of this particular platform is, here professionally, you can have a collaborative platform, bring all of your organization members to one particular platform, let them see your project ideas and how you are going about a meeting and how you are formulating any such projects, and you can post it here. So once you do that, they will have an idea as to how the company is progressing, how the task is progressing, and in accordance to that, they can also increase their efficiency in accordance to their work. So that's about the essentiality of streams. And then we saw email sharing. So we will have scenarios when we receive a mail. And once we receive a mail, we will want to discuss the mail with some of our colleagues. Okay, I will want to discuss it with my friend, asking if at all I have to reply to this mail, or I might discuss about the task that is relevant to the particular mail. It could be anything, but I shouldn't be copy pasting the mail and sending it to my friend, or simply calling them and reciting the whole mail to them. Instead, what I can do is, here in the comment box, I can simply tag the person. Okay, and whoever I tag will have access to the particular mail. Not just that, the person will be able to comment on the mail and give me feedbacks as well. There is also another similar feature such as this, which is called draft sharing. When you formulate a mail, again, we will have doubts as to the data that it contains, if it has any errors, or if I want to rephrase some of the sentences or something like that. So I will want a suggestion from my friend. So again, I shouldn't be forwarding the draft to them or copy pasting the draft to them. Instead, you have a feature called Share Draft on the top right corner. Clicking on that, you can tag any person you want, and the person will have access to the draft. The person can give you suggestions and feedbacks in a comment box, and in accordance to that, you can redraft the mail and send the draft, right? So that's about draft sharing and email sharing. And the last feature we wanted to discuss was how you can collaborate your task, notes, events right from your inbox. So here is your mail. Okay, let's just open a mail for now. And here it says, I prepared a draft for this Friday's blog post. So let's say my manager is sending me a mail, and he or she is asking me to write a blog that has to be posted on Friday. Okay. So instead of going to the actual app of task and creating a task, or going to events and creating an event, or going to the notes and writing all the notes there, what I can do is simply I can select the phrase I want to create a task. I will have a pop-up which will allow me to create a post, note, task, event, or I can simply search the particular word across Zoho as well. So for now, I want to create a task. Clicking on the task, I can create a task with the dragged phrase, whichever I've selected, and I can save it. I can also do other such modifications right from here, and I can save it. So this is going to save a lot of time for you. You don't have to go to the particular app and then update all the information. Instead, you can drag and select the particular phrase from here and directly add it to the particular app. We have a lot of other features in queue which we can talk about today, but since we have a time constraint and we also have another big topic to discuss about, let's move to the actual topic. You have Zoho Mail's control panel, and inside Zoho Mail control panel, we are going to see how you can manage your domain and organization. Shall we? Okay. From your Zoho Mail's UI, clicking on the avatar, you can select Admin Console, and that will redirect you to the Admin Consoles page. Here, in the left side pane, you will find domain and organization. So this simply means that whatever settings that you do inside these options will be specific to the domains and specific to organization. So let's first see domains. Here you can see the domain which has been verified and all of the other domains which has not been verified. Let's go with the first domain, and there you will find advanced settings. Okay, so whatever settings that I do for this particular domain will only apply for the particular domain that I selected. All right, so here you have subdomain stripping. So you must have come across all of these settings, but let me just recite it for you. Subdomain stripping is nothing but when you have subdomains for a primary domain, you might have multiple subdomains for a primary domain. But when you receive mails to the subdomain, if you want them to be redirected to the primary domain's mailbox, you have to enable this option. By enabling this, your subdomains will be stripped and all of the mails received by your subdomains will be redirected to the mailbox of your primary domain. You have domain aliasing in the next. So domain aliasing could be a little confusing because I've heard people confusing between email aliasing and domain aliasing. Both are similar in a very small aspect, but again they are very different. So let me just explain this to you with a user case. You will have multiple domains. Let's say I have two domains, okay? One that ends with in and one that ends with com, okay? So the first domain, the primary domain, is added for everyone, and I've created user accounts for all of my organization members with the primary domain. Now I have a secondary domain for which I want to create an alias for all of my users. So instead of creating an email alias for every user, because that's going to take a lot of time and effort, I can simply come here and create a domain alias. Okay, I can just click on add. I can add another domain, but make sure both the domains have to be added and verified by you in order for you to use this domain aliasing. Okay, so you can add the particular domain and you can save it. Once you do that, an email alias will be created for all of your users directly when you add a domain alias from here. Okay, and then you have catch-all address. So catch-all addresses are a particular feature which lets you fetch all the emails that are sent to your domain. Let's say I have an organization and some of my client, okay, is sending mails to my organization using my domain, but the person has misspelled the username, but the domain name is right. Okay, in the to address, my domain name was right, but the username was misspelled. Still, the mail was sent to my domain. I will still want to fetch those mails. So how can I fetch them? Is in the catch-all address, I can simply give in an email address. Once I do that, whenever a person sends a mail to my domain, but the username is misspelled, still the mails will be fetched and it will be dropped into the mailbox of the person I specify here. So I do not have to miss any of the mails which are sent to my domain. So that's about catch-all address. And then you have domain disclaimers. Even when we add signatures in our mail, still a domain disclaimer is very important to add confidentiality and the authenticity of the particular mail. So make sure you add a domain disclaimer for your domains so that it looks even more authentic. So that's about the advanced settings that you can do for your domains. And now moving on to the organization specific settings that you can do. So in organization, you have a welcome email template to begin with. Here you have the information of the organization, and the first setting is the welcome email template. Okay, so when is this used? Let's say you have a lot of users that you onboard. It's normal that we onboard a lot of users on an yearly basis, monthly basis, and we will have a number for that. But if we are going to sit and send them the invite mail saying it could contain anything like the protocols of your company, the practices of your company, or simply the email practices that you want to share with your users, it could be anything. But it could be an invite mail that you wish to send to everyone you onboard. So you shouldn't be sending and sitting and sending all the mails manually every time you onboard a user. What you can do is you can come to welcome email template option, and there you can configure a template. Click on the configure template, give it a name, give it a default sender email address, give it a subject, and compose the mail. Once you do that, save it. When you do this, whenever a person is onboarded in your organization, a welcome mail will be sent with the template that you create here. So it is automated. You don't have to sit and create and type it out and then send it to the person every time you onboard a person. Then you have signature template, which is nothing but if you want to create a default signature for the whole of your organization, you can do it right from here. And then you have display name format and email address format, which is nothing but when you create a user, okay, let's say you're onboarding a user and you're giving in the specification of the user to create an account for them. When you give the information of the user, with that information, a display name and an email address for the person will be auto-generated, right? So you can customize how the email address and a display name has to be created from here. Okay, here you can say if the first name should be separated by a dot and the last name has to be followed, you can do this. Or if you want it to be the other way, you can also have options and you can use the drop downs to do it that way. And you also have display name, which you can formulate right from here. If you're going to ask me only these settings are specific for organization, again, the answer is no. You have other settings, but those are going to be categorized under spam. Okay, there are a lot of settings which you can do just to avoid receiving spam emails to your organization. So from where you can do that is have a specific feature called security and compliance on the left pane. Click on that, under which you have several options, which is also organization specific, and you can use them so that your organization is safe and secure. Coming into this particular option, you can see under security, suspicious login alerts is there, and also you have S/MIME. So if you're wondering what these are, is suspicious login alerts is nothing. You have created a user, you have created an account for a user, you've given them the credential, but after the person has started conversing in your email, and after a few days, you find that the person is logging in through different IP address. This could happen, this could happen for different reasons. One is either the person is using VPN, or if the person's user credential was compromised and if it is being used by somebody else, if a spoof was using the person's email address, then you should be cautious. You should take relevant steps for that, and you have to recover the person's account. So you need to know in the first place that if the person's account was compromised or not. So the initial step will be here. You will be coming here and you'll be finding who are all the users who are using different IP address to log in. So that's where you will find suspicious login alerts will allow you to do that. You can come here and you can check who are all the users who's been using different IP address to log in, and you can do the further investigation and you can take the further steps. Then you have S/MIME. So if you ask me, this is just a certification which you can upload for your organization. And when you send emails to another organization, the other organization will identify you as a legitimate organization by screening for this certification. Okay, so that's simple as that, how S/MIME works and a suspicious login alert work. Then you have spam control. Under spam control, you have spam processing. In spam processing, you have the first option where you can switch on or switch off the spam process type. So I would say this is a very important decision that you can take, because you got to be very cautious. If you switch this off, there will be no level of system check that will happen for your mails. Okay, there will be a server level check that happens to screen all the spam emails. But if you want the system level check to also happen, you need to enable this option. You need to click on complete. But if you're going to switch it off, there will be no system check that happens for whole of your organization. It's always recommended to enable this option and keep it ready to have the spam check happen for your organization mails. Okay. And I think, yes, we've covered what are all the settings that you can do for your organization, and the other settings are all very specific to spam, which we'll be covering in the next section of the webinar. So let's see. In domain specific, we saw domain aliasing, subdomain stripping, and how you can add domain disclaimers, and how you can fetch all the mails that were sent to your domains by using the catch-all account. And then we saw organization management, under which we saw welcome mail template and how you can customize your name display and email display. Also, we saw how you can switch on the spam process type. And finally, we also saw how you can identify your users logging into a different IP address using the suspicious login alerts. And we saw how the certification can be uploaded using S/MIME. Now, we saw domain-wide, organization-wide settings. It's time to see user-specific settings. So for you to do user-specific settings, you need to go into the Users tab on the left pane. By clicking on that, you will be listed with the users that you've created. click on the particular user, and you will have the personal information of the user listed here. Then click on groups. So this list the number of groups the person is being added to, and if you want to add to any other group as well, you can click on the add option and you can add the person. And you have mailbox settings. In mailbox settings, the first option that's going to be available for you is email alias. So if you wish to create an email alias for this person, as we already discussed, email alias is nothing but creating multiple email addresses for a person, and the person can use the different email addresses for different purposes. All right, he or she can have a primary email address, and the aliases can be used for different purposes. So if you want to create an email alias for this person, you can do it right from here. You can also set email forwarding. So once I specify an email address here, whenever Alia receives, this user account Alia. So whenever Alia receives a mail, the mail will be forwarded to anybody I specify here. And then you have email policy. Email policy is a specific topic, and I will be discussing that in the future. And then you have delegated to. So what is delegated to and when it is used is, it is normal that your users could have some personal commitments, or they might be stuck in some conferences and meetings which could take a lot of time, and they might not have the time to attend to mails at the right time. What you can do is, you can share the user's mailbox with some of the other colleagues, asking them to take care of the mails. So those other colleagues will have different accesses. It could be read, write, or even compose the mail and send on behalf of them, whatever access you give. So here you can see AB has the access to read mails of Alias, and then you can also see Borrow has the right to write emails on behalf of Alia. Also, you can allow them to send mails behalf of them using the owner's email address, and send as simply means the from address of Alia itself can be used to send mails. Okay, so this is how you can delegate the mailbox to another colleague and asking them to take care of your of one of your users' mailbox. And then you have mailbox actions. So if you want to restrict your user from having access to any of these, then you can disable them, or if you want to enable it, you can come and enable these options as well. So let's just say I don't want Alia to be sending any mails to anyone. I can simply go and turn off this particular option for Alia, right? And same way it works for incoming, spam check, quarantine check, pop access, IMAP access, and active sync. You have out of office. Let's say your user says that he or she is going to be busy with something, and as an admin, you can go and formulate an out of office message for them. So in their absence, you can specify their absence period, and you can formulate a message here. And once you do that, you can save it. So in their absence, whenever the person receives a mail, out of office message will be sent that you composed for them. Last of all, a signature. If you wish to compose a signature for this particular user, you can do it right from here. That's about the normal settings that you can do for your user. And then you have anti-spam settings. So if your user comes and complains to you saying, I'm receiving a lot of spam emails from this particular email address, what you can do is, you can come to this particular portal and you can add the mail address here in the blocked list. So whenever the user is receiving mails from that particular email address, it will be landing in the spam folder instead of coming and hindering in the inbox of your user. You can also domain specifically block the domains. Right? Here you can go and add the list of domains which you want to block with a particular user. Here you can check the storage of the user, and you have other security options available for you where you can change the password of the user. So if at all the person says the user account was compromised or the credential was compromised, you can create a new password for the user, send it to the person via email, ask them to change password on their first login, and last of all, you can also sign out the person's account from all the signed in device, right? And then you have /mime, which is specific for the user, which you can add, and also TFA, is something that you can enable for this particular person. We are done with the user specific settings that you can do. So let's see. We saw roles. No, we saw signature. We saw out of office, how you can set, how you can forward the emails, how you can set allowed IPs, two-factor authentication, anti-spam, and disable or enable services. Roles and privileges is something that I'm going to show you where you can do. In security and compliance, you will have roles, and from here you can add the person. You have different roles: user management admins, spam control admins, help desk admins, marketplace developers. You have a lot of options, and if you wish to add the person, click on the assigned role, add the person, and you can assign them the particular privilege or role. All right. So that's about the user specific management that you can do from the admin console. Moving on to the Yes, one more that we saw was email aliasing, where you can set multiple email addresses for a person. Okay. And then you have group management. Under group management, you have simple topics because we already saw how you can, do settings for your user. All of those settings only apply for groups as well, but in a different tweaked way. Let me show you. Going to groups. Here you can see the list of groups that you've created. Click on the first group, and there you can see the list of members you've added in the particular group. So you should know whenever you create a group, the group will have a number of members. The members will have only two roles. One is they can either be a member or they can be a moderator. Okay. So if you are doubting what this moderator will do is, moderator has the privilege of receiving the mail that the group address receives first, and they can moderate the mail. They can approve the mail, they can review the mail, and they can accept the mail. Only then the mail will go and fall into the mailbox of the group address. If they reject the mail, then the mail will not go and fall into the mailbox of your group address. So that's some privilege that the particular moderator will have for the particular group. You can also have multiple moderators for a group also. And then you can set anti-spam settings for the particular group by giving in the email address that you wish to block and giving in the list of domains which you wish to block for the particular group. And then here you have moderation. So since as an admin, I'm the one who created the group itself, so I should have the access to moderate the mails that are sent to the group, right? So as an admin, I will have a page where I can moderate the mails myself. I can review the mail, I can approve them or reject them. But as a moderator, I will be only able to see the header information of the mail. I won't be able to see the contents of the mail. And then you have advanced desk settings. There you can set email policy for the group. You can set different permissions. So while you create the group itself, you will given the permission of the group. If you wish to change them at any time, you can come here and change them. So these permissions range from, if anyone at all will be able to send mails to your group, you can go to everyone. If you want to be specific with who has to send mails to your group, you can choose either, organization members, group members, or even you can choose only moderators. So whatever you choose here, whatever group of people you choose here, only they can be able to send mails to your group email address. Okay. And then you have group alias, which you can set. So this just works as how the email alias works. So you can set multiple group aliases and you can save them here. And then you have auto response. So this is almost like an out of office. So if you wish to create an out of office message, you can formulate them in accordance to any one of these categories, and you can save them, and an auto response will be sent when nobody in the group can be able to reply to the particular mail. Then you have email restriction and domain restriction. So you can add the domains and emails that you wish to restrict from here as well. All right. So here we saw how you can add multiple moderators for a particular group, how you can set a group alias, and how you can configure spam policies for the group, and how, right? Yes. So we are moving on to interesting topic, I would say, because when you change providers, okay, if you've been using a different provider and now you've chosen Zoho Mail, it's good that you add your domain, verify your domain, create accounts. Those are all settings that you can do from Zoho Mail itself. But what is even more important is you've got to bring your data from the previous provider to the new server. It's very important because you cannot let your data to be stagnant in a different server and then you come here and start afresh. That's not going to happen. You need your data, right? So in order for you to bring your data from a different provider, we have three different methods for you. One is API migration. Second one is server to server migration. And the third one is Exchange Migration Wizard. API migration, server to server migration, and this particular tool, Exchange Migration Wizard. What is the difference between these steps or methods is, if you're going to use API migration, all that you need is only the admin credential of the other provider's account. Okay, only the admin credential. You need not have the user's credential. Only the admin credential is more than sufficient, and you can bring in data that can range from emails, calendar, and contact. Whereas in server to server migration, you can only fetch the email data also. So you need to know that you have to have the credential of every user you wish to migrate. And then you have Exchange Migration Wizard. So that's a particular tool which you can make use of, where you can bring emails in the formats of EML, PST. Also, you can migrate data from Exchange servers as well. This is a detailed topic which you need to understand, where you will have a couple of steps which you'll have to go through to understand this kind of process. We've already done webinars in this particular topic, where we've detailedly explained all the step-by-step procedures for different providers as well. So I would suggest my team to copy paste the webinar link for you, and you can go through that webinar after this session gets over whenever you find time, and you can make use of the process as well. Moving on, we are going to see spamming techniques. So why do we keep talking about spam? It's very important that you are very alert about these spams, because a spam mail can simply contain any URLs which could be malicious, and just by opening them, that could compromise your company's data itself. They could, fetch all of your data, your confidential data, and make use of them and sell it to third parties. They could do a lot of stuff like that. Or at the least, you will spend your time on an unnecessary mail, and that could consume your time. So who is at the loss is us, of course. So for you to be safe from all of these spams, we are going to give you some process or options which will allow you to save your organization from all of these spam emails. And some of the techniques which you could get affected by is email spoofing and email backscattering. So one particular technique which I would like to explain to you is email spoofing. So what these spoofers would do is, they will take anybody at all's email address and they will portray as though the email address is theirs, and they will send mails to everyone. Okay. When they do that, okay, the actual owner of the email address will be sitting and doing something else, but the person's email address will be used to send tons and tons of unwanted emails to a lot of people. The person may not even have the credential of the user, but they can use the email address alone. That happens as a recipient. If I receive some of the spam emails as such, I would simply mark it as spam. So when an email address is being marked as spam a lot of time, the email address reputation will be spoiled. Okay, and the domain's reputation that the email address contained will also be spoiled. So if you're going to ask me, what is this reputation that the domain holds, and what is this importance of the particular reputation, is when a reputation of a particular domain is spoiled, there are certain third-party websites that exist where they will list domains which have lost the reputation, which has very less reputation, and they will just mark them as spam domains, spam email addresses. Once that is done, whenever mails are being sent from those domains or email addresses, every server will just regard them as spam emails and they will simply put them to spam folders. So that is going to affect our domain if at all our domains are being marked as spam by third-party websites. So we should always take care of the reputation of our domain. That is one problem. Second is you have email scattering. So what is email scattering is, again, when a spoofer is using my email address and sending tons and tons of mails to somebody else, whoever is receiving it might mark it as spam, or simply their servers will reject the mail. When mails are being rejected, when it is bounced back, where it will come and land? Obviously, it contained my email address. So all of those mails will come and land in my inbox. So again, that is going to take a lot of efforts for me to delete it, and that's going to take a lot of storage space. So that's going to become a mess for me. Email scattering, and that's a second problem. There are also a lot of other problems which you would face because of these spam emails, and these are just some examples that I wanted to point out. So how you can escape from these scenarios is, you need to identify yourself as a legitimate user and a legitimate domain. How you can do that is, you have something called SPF and DPIM. SPF is Sender Policy Framework and DPIM is Domain Keys Identified Mail. When you configure these records in your DNS, DNS is nothing but when you own a domain, you will be given a DNS page saying you can upload all of the records that's relevant to your domain in your DNS page. Okay, there you will upload these two records, and when you do that, whenever you send mails from your organization using that domain, whoever is receiving it will verify if at all it was sent from a legitimate user or not. When they screen for SPF and DKIM, the verification will be successful and your email will be marked as a legitimate email. Okay, and now that is done. Let's talk about you keeping your organization safe from spam. How you can do that is, when you receive a mail, your organization will also do all those screenings. Screening for an SPF, DKIM, DMARC, DNS blacklist, all of those screenings. And let's say the email failed the failed the verification. Then what we need to do with that mail is something that we have to instruct our organization, saying I want to reject the mail, or I want to mark the mail as spam, or I want to put the mail to quarantine. I can give all those instructions in my organization in a particular page. Where do I do that? Is, you have to go to security and compliance, and there you will find spam verification. All right, under spam control, you will have spam verification, and there I'm going to instruct my organization saying, when I receive a mail and if the mail fails SPF, I want it to be permanently rejected, moved to quarantine, or I don't want any of the action to take place. I can do all of these actions from here. Then if it fails DKIM, I can do the same process, and I also have DMARC and DNS blacklist. This DMARC is nothing but a combination of SPF and DKIM. In simple words, it's an advanced and a tedious level of screening. Okay, and then you have DNS blacklist. DNS blacklist is the third-party verification that we were talking about. Okay, and if that fails as well, you can choose to do one of these actions. So you must have a doubt now, which is, you said move to quarantine. What is quarantine? Let me tell you. Quarantine is nothing but space where the admins can see all the spam emails of their organization. Okay, regardless of who received this who was about to receive this spam email, you will receive all of them first in the quarantine space. There, you can moderate the mails, saying if this mail is legitimate or not is something that you can verify, and then you can decide to send the mail to your user, or you can simply reject them. Okay, so what is the use cases? When spam mails will accumulate space. Even if it's going to fall into the spam folder of your user, still the user's account will be, will accumulate a space in their storage space. So in order to avoid that, you can utilize this quarantine space. You can save all of the spam emails here, and you can moderate them, and then you can verify if it's a legitimate mail or not. You can allow them or deny them. Okay, so that's about how quarantine helps you. And then you have spam whitelist and blacklist. You also have cousin domains, display name fraudulence, location language based spam, sender based alerts, and post delivery spam check. Let's talk about them one by one. In the spam control, you have alert list and block list. So if you ask me, alert list is nothing but a preference list. It doesn't do anything much. But block list is something where if you add a email address here, then when you receive mails from that email address, then it will be marked as spam. It will directly go and fall into the spam folders instead of falling into the mailbox. And then you have trusted list. So what is the difference between allowed list and trusted list is, if you add a person's email address in the trusted list, even when an email received by this person, and when I receive mail from this particular email address, even when the mail fails SPF or DPIM verification, still it will go and fall the mailbox instead of going into the spam folders. So if you ask me, why will I add a person here, and if the verification fails, I will want them to fall into the spam box? Why will I want it to fall into my inbox? Is there are certain domains who will not configure these SPF and DKIM. They will not be aware of this, and it's an automated method where we will mark them as spam. But that person could be an important person for your business or of your professional circle, and their mails could mean something to you. So in order for you to not miss those mails, you can make use of this setting. You can add their mail addresses here. So even when the verification fails, it will come and land into your inbox rather in your spam folders. All right. And then you have internationalized spam, where you can restrict mails in accordance to language and country. All right. And then in phishing and malware, you have cousin domains. So cousin domains and display name spoofing are all interesting features. Cousin domains is, let me give you an example. Let's say Amazon. Okay, Amazon is a domain. But if I'm going to spell Amazon as AMAZZON, it will still look like Amazon, but it's not the actual domain. So when I receive mails from such domains, I might not, have a second thought before I open it. I will simply open it, and that might contain some malicious URLs, and I might make use of them, and that could lead to consequences. So for me to avoid that, I can simply add possible domains from which I will receive mails here. Once I do that, whenever I receive mails from domains which look similar to the domains that I added here, then it will be marked as spam. And then you have display name spoofing. And as you guys know how we will add display name, it's not necessary we always add the name of the person. We might even add their roles as CEO, finance manager, or marketing manager, or something like that. And these are all default names that any company could have. So a spoofer can also make use of this particular scenario, and they can send you mails with a different or commonly used display name. It could be CEO or manager or anything. So what you can do is, here you can list all the display names with which you can possibly receive mails, and the relevant email addresses that matches for your company. You can add them all here. And when you receive mail from a spoofer with a display name that matches in this particular page, but it won't match with the email address, right? Then it will be marked as spam automatically. So that's how you can avoid the display name spoofing and cousin domain spoofing. And then we already discussed about quarantine. And we still have sender-based alerts and post-delivery spam check. Let me show you where you can find that. In spam processing, you will find sender-based alerts and post-delivery spam checks. So what is this is, if you want to be alerted whenever a sender is sending and the sender is an unauthenticated person or an external email address or a non-contact email person, then you can enable these options and you will be alerted whenever you receive a mail from them. And then you have post-delivery spam checks. This is the ultimate check that you can do, which simply means like there will be a server level check that happens, then a system level check that happens. Even after the mail comes and falls into your inbox, if you want a check to happen here, you can enable this. You can enable for 100 emails or all emails in accordance to your requirement. So we are done with the spam control mechanism, and now we are moving to the final topic of the webinar, which is email compliance policy. We are done with all the serious topics, and now we are going to get into a little lighter topic where you can set email policies, how you can retain emails, and how you can backup emails. So email policies are very important because you might have different category of users and you will not want all of your users to have all accesses in your mailbox. Okay, you can restrict them from having certain accesses by setting up an email policy. Go to the mail settings on the left pane and there you will have policies. So let's say I'm creating a policy. There's already number of policies been created. Let's just make use of one. This is a particular policy created for interns. Okay, there you can set maximum incoming and outgoing email size that you wish to give for them, and then maximum number of incoming mails that they must be allowed to get in a minute. And if you want to allow them to have mailbox delegation, you can enable this option and the mail policy is set. So this is how you will create a mail policy. Then what you will do is you will create and set different restrictions and you will associate that restriction to this email policy, and then as a whole you will associate this policy to some of your users or groups. Now that we've created the policy, let's create restriction for this policy. In the restriction, you can go to email restriction and then you can create an email restriction. Click on the edit and there you will find all the restrictions that you can do. In email restriction, you can restrict the user from receiving mails or sending mails in accordance with domain, emails, attachments, subjects, all of them. And then you have account restriction where you can restrict the person from having external account, signature customization, importing and exporting emails, and allowing them to attach attachments from cloud or adding to cloud. So these are all restrictions that you can set in accordance with account restriction. And then you have access restriction. So if you wish to restrict the access of the user from having POP access, IMAP access, active sync, email forwarding, and some of the settings that is relevant to POP and IMAP and mail forwarding, maximum session count, and you also have allowed IP address. So allowed IP address is you can specify the IP address here and the person will be able to log in through only those IP addresses. Last of all, you have forward restriction. When you add an email address here, whoever you associate the mail policy to, the person, whenever they receive a mail, it will be forwarded to the mail address you specify here. Okay. Once you create an email policy, you have to go and apply it to your users. Here you have associated user. Here you can add the number of users to who you want to associate the policy to, or you can simply associate to the groups that you've created. All right. So that's about email policy. And then so these are all the things that we saw on email policy, where you can set maximum permitted email size and numbers, and then what are all the restrictions that you can set in accordance with email policy. And now we are going to see retention and backup. In retention and backup, you need to understand that, let me take you to the page. Here on the left pane, you have e-discovery. Click on that. You will have two different features, which is e-discovery and backup. Major difference between these two is e-discovery allows you to retain emails regardless of if they've been deleted or not, whereas backup allows you to bring back the emails which have been successfully deleted by your users. Okay, so let's say e-discovery, you can specify the days, and for these number of days the emails will be retained. That's simple as that. And if you want to retain them forever, you can go with the second option. And you also have recovery here. So give it a name. Let's say, let's take a user case that there was a project that was happening in my company, and there were certain mails that was relevant to that particular project, and I want to retain them especially, and I want to save them here in this particular portal. I'll just say project for now. All right. And I want to narrow down that emails. Okay. So how I can do that is, if the project emails were sent by all of my users, I can go with all user accounts. Or if it was only specific to specific user accounts, I can go with the second option. And then if I want to include spam emails, or if I only the deleted emails, I can choose one of these options. And then I can give it a period of time. So within this period of time, those project emails were sent and received. And in the condition query, I can narrow them down even more by specifying the subject line, the attachment it contained, or to who it was sent, from who it was received, or anything like that about the particular mails. And I can narrow them down, and I can preview the results. So these are all the mails that falls under this condition and under the particular period of time. So I can click on the specified mails I wish to recover, and then I can click on recover. So that's how you will do recovery from e-discovery. But if you're going to make use of the backup, it works the same way, but you will not have options to click if you want to include the deleted mails, because only deleted mails will be recovered here. Okay, let's say one of my users deleted some of the mails that were very relevant for this project, and I'm going to bring them back. So all of my users making use of this, and then I'm going to give it a start and a stop date, and giving it a condition query. It could be anything. You need to know some information about the mail, and you can specify them here by narrowing them down using these fields, and you can preview the results. So this is the only mail that matches all of these conditions, and I can choose to recover it from here. All right. So email retention, a process of retaining emails in the organization accounts for a specific period for compliance or other purposes. Email backup, to secure important email communications from accidental deletion by the employees. Okay. So I think that's about all I want to discuss about in this webinar. And